I'm assuming you played rugby at school?
No.
Not?
Oh my goodness. The first few weeks we had to have passing and catching workshops. When people found out that there was no contact in touch rugby, it was bitter disappointment. First we had the lesbians beating us every single week. Had to reorganize a little bit. No, it's been a long road to learn to throw in public, but I'm getting there. Yeah.
And the other members, I mean, do a lot of them have a rugby background?
Actually, I'd say we have, we've had some excellent players who played at high school level, some club, I don't think any club players, but I think that in future we might get there. We're definitely looking, now that we have an opponent, we're definitely looking at professionalizing a little bit. I mean, in the sense of just getting a dedicated coach and perhaps paying for a field. We've certainly had some interaction with Hamiltons in the past who've been very forthcoming, and really it's just about raising finances so that we can secure access to a dedicated field and start building it up.
Now, are there any plans to sort of grow the game, grow the community in other parts of Africa where, as we know, homosexuality is not tolerated as well as it is here? I mean, that must be quite a challenge.
Well, that would be our dream, of course. We had some outreach, I think, a year back from IGRAB, which is the international. I don't want to get the acronym wrong, but it's an international gay rugby association, and they're involved with the gay games and the out games, and they certainly are doing their part to pick up on any kind of inclusive or queer rugby activity anywhere in the world. I'd be surprised to see some of that activity coming from countries in Africa where homosexuality is largely illegal, but I'm convinced that it does happen. It's just about, I guess, finding out and supporting any way we can.
You mentioned the gay games. Tell us more about the sort of more global tournaments. I also know about the Bingham Cup, which has become quite a large sort of annual showpiece.
Yes, well, that's the dream. And interestingly enough, in the 90s, South Africa had a gay rugby scene, which was at that time, I mean, just months into democracy. And that gave rise, as I understand it, to a lot of the infrastructure that runs the Bingham Cup today, or the existence of gay rugby around the world. And unfortunately, that scene seems to have dissipated. Sometimes fortunately, sometimes it's a sign that mentalities have evolved such that all of those players may have felt able to play for any rugby club in the country. But at the moment, I think there's still a space for Cape Town, certainly, to eventually field its own full contact rugby club that competes now nationally and hopefully one day in the Bingham Cup.
Speaking of the Bingham Cup, I came across this fact, which I'm sure you probably know about, but for the sake of our viewers, which I thought was very interesting. Obviously, it's named after Mark Bingham, who co-founded 2 gay inclusive rugby clubs. He died in the September 11 attacks on board United Airlines Flight 93. He was one of the passengers that took measures to attack the hijackers, which then diverted the plane into that field in Pennsylvania instead of targets in Washington, D.C. So he's quite a hero. But also then, more importantly, I guess for the sake of our conversation, time of his death, there were only 6 gay and inclusive rugby clubs worldwide, and now there are 60.
Wow. Well, I did not know that there were 60, but I think that's just a testament to the fact that rugby is such a great sport. Even the touch rugby that we play it involves teamwork, it involves cooperation, it involves a lot of things that I think would be of immense benefit, particularly to the LGBTI community. The having to trust in others, not having to go it alone, and in a way that some might have had to learn in their lives up to this point, especially slightly older LGBTI people, like in their 30s, for example. When they were at high school, it would have been a very different story from being in high school today. And I think that what rugby and touch rugby have to teach is for everybody.
Brett, last question, the name Blight Rugby, where did it come from?
Sure. Well, blight, blight I guess means a threat, something to do with crops going bad. It's an aggressive. It's kind of the aggression that you would like in a rugby name. I mean, if you look at the names like the Sydney Convicts, and it's. But what it is, it's the letters LGBTI T rearranged because it's such a mouthful. But we really didn't want to leave people out. We wanted people to see their orientation reflected in our name, plus H for supposedly for heterosexuals, but actually for hippie straights, because those were the only ones we had in the beginning. Just hippies who would show up and walk past and start playing. So we really are inclusive. We love the fact that straight people feel comfortable, and I think feel a slightly different vibe in our club, and enjoy it and come back week after week. So.